The V20 Pro comes in a pretty chunky box. On the back we have some of its main features mentioned, and that's about it though. Let's take this wrapping off and see what's inside. Okay, so first up we have a little cardboard sleeve with a bunch of things inside. These include a transparent silicone case. You get some manuals and of course a SIM eject tool. Then we also have the USB Type-C cable, and finally we get to the V20 Pro itself. Now, as you can probably tell, this is the sunset melody color, which I think looks very nice. Let's put it aside for the moment and check out the rest of the contents. This is the power adapter, and it is a 33 watt flash charge 2.0 adapter for fast charging. We also have a Type-C to 3.5mm headphone adapter, and finally we have a headset. So overall a pretty good bundle with everything you need to get started right out of the box. Okay, so I've gone ahead and set up the Vivo V20 Pro, and before we get into the specifications, let's take a quick look around the phone itself. As you can see, it's got a glossy finish all around. This is a plastic frame, but it does feel relatively sturdy. I mean, there is no flex or anything if you even apply a bit of pressure like this, so that's good. It is quite light. Its weighs just around 170 grams, which is good, and it's not too thick as well. This is about 7.49 millimeters in thickness. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this is the sunset melody color, which I think looks really cool. But it's also available in a midnight jazz variant if you don't want something too flashy. Now, over to the right, we have the volume buttons. We have this textured power button, which is nice. It's not much on the other side. Down at the bottom, we have a dual SIM tray. It only supports 2 nano SIMs. Type-C port, single speaker over here. Coming to the top, we have the earpiece, and we have 2 cameras this time, which we will get into shortly, but that's about it. We just have a microphone on the top over here. So overall, I think the V20 Pro looks pretty neat, but that second selfie camera uses more space in the front, so you have a little wider notch, which does make the display look a little old-fashioned, if I'm being honest, but maybe not a lot of people would mind that. Now, speaking of the display itself, we have a 6.44 inch AMOLED display. You also get an in-display fingerprint sensor like this, and it seems to work pretty well. It's a full HD plus display, but unfortunately it's just 60 Hz, so you don't get the 90 Hz refresh rate like some other phones in this price segment. Now, the display itself obviously has scratch protective glass. So in the front, your Vivo has used scratch protective glass from Shot, whereas at the back of the phone, it's using Corning Gorilla Glass 5. So again, a pretty premium build quality all around for the V20 Pro, which is nice. Now, one of the big differences between the V20 Pro and of course the regular V20 is the SoC. So this one has a Qualcomm Snapdragon 765G SoC, and what this means is this also supports 5G. Now, there's only one variant of this phone in India. It comes with 8 GB of RAM, and you get 128 GB of storage. In terms of software, this is running obviously FunTouch OS 11. I'll just quickly show you that. And this is still based on Android 10. It's FunTouch OS 11. It's based on Android 10, which is fine. The UI does have some heavy customizations. There are some pre-installed bloatware and stuff, but we'll see if we can get rid of those later on. But the interface seems pretty nice. You have an app drawer. You get this universal search feature if you do a swipe down gesture, and you get this pretty stock looking toggle switches in the notification shade. So all in all, pretty nice. Finally, let's go over the camera. So let's begin with the front camera itself. In the front you have two cameras this time. So there is the 44 megapixel camera, but you also get an additional 8 megapixel ultra wide angle camera, which is nice. And coming to the back, we have a triple camera setup over here. So over here we have a primary 64 megapixel sensor, followed by an 8 megapixel ultra wide, and then we have a 2 megapixel monochrome camera. So the 8 megapixel ultra wide camera is pretty interesting because it has autofocus, and it does let you do a bunch of different things. For instance, you can use it as a super macro camera as well. So it's the same ultra wide angle camera that can be used for macro photos as well as wide angle shots, which is a nice touch. You also get obviously a bunch of different shooting modes which you can play around with. But the cool thing is that because of this more powerful SoC, you do get 4K 60 FPS for video recording for the rear and the front camera, which is really neat. And once again, you can see that last but not least, the V20 Pro has a 4000 mAh battery inside, and you also get 33 watt fast charging with the fast charger bundle in the box itself.